Karibuni sana here at the University of Nairobi 2025 presidential debate, where we are having the two nominated teams, that is Team Weledi and Team Fresh Perspectives. But before we dive straight into our debate, we are having a panel over here where we want to know their key manifestos, what they have said they will do for us, how they will represent us, and maybe some of the key challenges that they will go through, learning from the previous regime that has been here. So my name is Anastasia Kiragu, and with me I have...
My name is Whitney Lubido. I'm a student from the University of Nairobi, and I'm also a political enthusiast. And yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is George Nyangor, third-year student. Happy to be here with you.
Yeah, and welcome. And now, from the past week, we've been experiencing, campaigns and people having, that energy, that passion. Yesterday at 4 p.m., we saw people saying, vote for this team, vote for this team. For you, how's the atmosphere?
It's getting hotter, as I can say, because we're literally counting hours to the big day, that is tomorrow. And something that is quite different for this year's election, it has been a really, really tight race. We've seen some teams fail to make it to the ballots, as they call it, the ballot table. I can't say ballot box because it's virtual. At the ballot table, some teams are still appealing for it. But again, we have two teams of which we are expecting the debate after this show. So I'm actually looking forward to it.
Thank you. For me, I've seen a marvelous campaign from Kikuyu campus, Lower Kabete, main campus, Parklands, KNH, and here in ADD. And we want all people to feel that it's part of life, yeah? And I'm looking forward for a fruitful discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And now when you're saying looking forward to a fruitful discussion, and before even we get to the teams that are being, that are here to just tell us how they'll represent us in the, in the coming year, how do you feel the previous regime has done?
In terms of accountability and transparency, the question marks in terms of accountability. Let me start with accountability. A few weeks ago, we were to interview should I say outgoing, or should I say current president, because they're still counting hours before the new one is sworn in. We were inviting him for an interview. He didn't show up. He didn't send a representative. So the question is it out of fear? He had a busy schedule that he could not show up. So, silence speaks a lot of volume. Did he intentionally not show up? So there's a question in terms of accountability in also an angle where some of the projects they've done during their tenure. We can't pinpoint 5 major projects they've done with the financial budget they get as per when they're stepping into office. So that's my take on it.
According to me, the outgoing team has done nothing worthwhile. They have done squat. And we want the upcoming team, the two teams, to prove them wrong. Yeah, leadership comes from God. The current team or the outgoing team have been squandering resources from the school. So we want the coming team to do a good job. Yes.
And now, a team learns from their mistakes and, acknowledging that they did something. And do you feel like now the coming team has seen something like what you've said, not being responsible, not being accountable for their actions? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like now this coming team has, at some sort in their manifesto, said something that you feel like, oh, you know what, maybe let's give them a chance and maybe the accountability will be there?
A while ago, I was looking at the manifestos for the respective teams, and what I can say is there's hope. But again, in leadership, there's politics, and then there's the leadership part. Politics is where they try and play games with the people voting for them. They'll be like, we'll do this and this and this. And now leadership comes into when they actually plan to actualize what they promise. The manifestos are okay. But now we have to, for the winning team, they just have they have a long way to go, because we are really watching what they put in their manifestos to see them put in action.
From my assessment, I can say that I'm happy to see that students are overcoming tribal voting along tribal affiliations, and we are really maturing. So I am hoping students can really read the manifesto and see who is best fit for that job. Don't vote because of being given cash or handouts. Vote for the right leader, because you'll cry when hell goes haywire. Yeah.
So in terms, let me just revert back to politics and leadership. Mm-hmm. Politics in terms of when the previous regime was stepping into office, they told students, oh, we will make the hostels, we will improve the living conditions in the student accommodations, we will, for a faculty like for the Faculty of Art of Built Environment, that is ADD, as they said, we're going to renovate this and this and this. But when it comes to the actualization process, they lacked bureaucracy between the government, not the government, the school administration and the leaders. When there was a time they were fighting the leaders instead of being in collaboration with the leaders. So, and there's also this notion of, as I said earlier, them trying to say, we're going to do this at accommodation standards improved, fees and stuff. As per my research, that is something they just say to blind students, to blind their voters and to blind people putting them into office. Because as you look at the UNSA constitution and as their roles are stated in the UNSA documents, that is not within their mandate. They have specific roles they are supposed to do. So, sir, I feel like for the voters, when a student, when a leader is approaching you, vote for me, this and this and this, be keen on their manifestos, be keen on what they're saying to you guys, because some of them actually tell you what you want to hear. That is now the political part of it. And now there's leadership where they just try to swerve away from that.
Mm-hmm. And now, George, Lisha said something very important, that, you just say what you want to deliver, but how is the delivering process? What key steps do you look up to? And, you say that, me as a leader, I'm coming because, and I believe they do their research. They know that this is impossible, but because people want to hear this, people want me to do them this, now I will do it. What do you feel like now this team that is coming in should do to make sure that what they manifest is what they will do and what they will deliver at the end of this 1 year period?
Good question, Kiragu. According to me, I think they should face the music. They should preach water and drink water. Don't do the vice versa. And the outgoing team, Rocha, I saw him talking about the new funding model. He did well. But talks of the school sanitation did poorly. We have poor... like, for example, in Hall 11, we have poor hostels. We don't have correct Wi-Fi. They are buffering. And we have poor toilets. So when he was campaigning, he was preaching heaven on earth. But in the ground, things are going haywire. So we want him to face the music and do what he preaches. Sure. Thank you.
And now you've said something that, your Wi-Fi is low, it's not working the way it was used to be.
Thank you.
It's working. And now Rocha said something about, that line. And Team Lady is coming, the same manifesto that, we will improve your Wi-Fi networks, in your hostels. Is it true that you feel like, Rocha has failed to do that? Is it something that you look forward to Team Lady, doing it for you?
I can't tell, I'm not God, but I hope he will really he will fix the problem. Yeah, because when Rocha came, he was preaching heaven on earth. He was saying, I'll do this, I'll improve the sanitation of the school, I'll bring a school Wi-Fi back, but he did nothing. So I hope the upcoming team will do what they preach. Yes.
Yeah, and something that I noted is when we were out in the field, people were saying, when we were voting for our council, which is coming in, we vote for them as, people who represent us. But now when they get into office, it's now becoming a political and national issue. It's now not, something that, I represent you students. It's now something that is off. And I want to quote something that, on March 2nd, 2024, where Rocha and his team now, underwent a training after they were chosen and all. And now we just coming back, on February 2nd. And now in his new page, that is Instagram page, he was giving NTV, his view, when it comes to help and what. And something is very funny because here he's seen with Tuno. And Tuno was one of the aspirants who just came in, but unfortunately she didn't go through the nomination process and she didn't pass. Now, what do you say? What do you feel like now when this team is coming in? Do you see them now going again to the national politics and leaving us behind?
Let me correct you a bit. Tunu was standing in his in her own team, but now she's actually a member of Team Lady. You will see her in the debate. So there's this I don't know if it's a habit with leaders. They will be there during campaign seasons. They will quote unquote, they will try and manipulate you to think that they're the best, like you said, Wi-Fi and everything. But now once they step into office and they establish a base there, they establish a camp there, you will never see them. So there's this, we actually need to have things like monthly or maybe quarterly checkups where they set up a town hall and they tell us, we have done this and this, we've been in office for like 3 months, we've done this and this and this. Now gauge from there. We don't want them disappearing and only reappearing in school events where maybe the VC is there, the chancellor is there, these major events that they can't miss. So we want town halls. We want them to be up to date with the students, to show up and tell us we've done this. They have a website. They have their own website. Post there, we have done this and this and this. Instead of us following up and then a year down the line, we're trying to take account on what they've done as per their government, as per their tenure, and we can't see what they've actually done for the students. Yeah.
George, how do you want the team that will go forward to make the University of Nairobi students feel inclusive?
Good question. You see, when you compare the SONU, the former organization, SONU by Babu Owino, it was very vibrant. It was really having the students' needs at heart. But the current organization, when they get cash, they disappear. When we have events, we see them. So we want a very solid organization that can address the issues affecting the children of this university. And I'm also praying that when the best team wins the election, they will address our problems without prejudice and any form of affiliation of tribe. Yes.
And now moving on now to the debate that you're going to have, what are your key expectations from the two teams?
Leadership is not about the role, the huge thing about your name. It starts actually with the qualities. When we started, we were talking about transparency, we're talking about accountability. And in terms of transparency, I'd like to commend the Electoral Commission, where they actually ruled out some of the leaders who were vying during the nomination stage. Some tried to forge documents, some didn't meet the qualifications, like they lacked a disability member in their team, they lacked an international student in their team. Some of these things, they tried to regulate this. As much as the students are actually saying, oh, it was biased and this, they followed the rules. They were really to the latter, to a point that we have some faculties actually lacking competition. You've seen, like for KNH, we have Timoribo standing on its own. They have no competition. Then they actually need 7 votes to actually win the election. So they should actually do that. I said actually so much.
Me, I can say that I blame the comrades also because they want money from the aspirants. So when I give you money, that means I'll have to recover that money when I get the position. So, but if we demand reasonable change from the candidates, I think we can elect good people to lead us. But when you walk in Klabu, let's say you walk in KNH, they say it was a cabbage, yeah? So that one really is a bad behavior that we need to stop as a people. Yeah.
You said KNH. In main campus, there's leap attack, there's Weka.
In campus, it's worse.
Yes.
It's very worse.
If they spot you, you will have to answer questions. And there was also when people were actually campaigning, when elections started, we saw a lot of female leaders taking up the roles. They're saying, I'm vying, support me, this is my team. And a great example is Parkland's campus, the Faculty of Law. We had like 4 ladies. I can quote 3. There was June Kiyoko, there was Uba, there was also Tunu, who is part of Salima, who's part of Team Lady. Those are some of the women leaders who actually stepped up, and they were saying, "Oh, women are actually stepping up." But now at the presidential debates, the ones who have actually made it to the nomination stage, we're seeing few. Actually, we're seeing men being the chairperson and being the president. So, what is your view on that?
Thank you so much, Lisha. But, we're working with time, and thank you so much, George. So we're going for a short commercial break. But when we come back, remember, we have now the debate coming in with John Chacha. So don't go anywhere. If you have any questions, remember, you can just go to our YouTube channel at UoN TV, converse with us, tell us, what do you want your leaders to do from Team Lady and from Team Fresh Perspectives? So, yeah.
They're supposed to be there for the students and the students don't feel them, what impact are they making? Even in terms of events, in terms of activities, they mainly organize things like tournaments for boys, but this faculty is not only for boys at the end of the day. So they're missing out on a lot of things, and even change, considering they're the ones sitting in the board or the council, they're able to implement a lot of change from the University of Nairobi. But I didn't even know some of our representatives, to be honest. So who am I going to go to if I don't know them?
I felt they were too focused on the political atmosphere of the country, too much focused with all that has been going on in the country and less about what's happening in the school. So I can't really say for sure if they've made an impact in the country, but for sure, as per my faculty, I haven't quite felt a change.
We felt the comrades power to some extent because he helped us push in the new funding model. Amesaidia pia kupush vitu kama he has been focal. Tumemsikia at least we felt his presidency and the Senate Council tuliwafeel. Unlike the other years, we didn't feel Knamalid and those others. At least we felt them.
The last time I heard UNSA had organized an event, I wasn't so sure that was the best they could come up with. It was a form of concert happening at night. I don't know why they saw that was the best. Apart from that, I've seen some various sports endeavors, but for sure I can't really say if I've felt any impact done by them.
There are many students who do not have a lot of things in this faculty, be it basic needs or even sometimes things like missed labs, because here when you miss labs it's very hectic to follow up. So if even the student representatives are able to pass policies, notions that help students kind of progress in the education here, that would be amazing. Again, events, since we also need to bond and know each other, even like in the engineering space, if there were more events centered around engineers, that would be great. And for the previous team, one of the teams at least that was contesting,
they should come to the ground, they should listen to our grievances, they should really try to make not really the only engineering, but our university to be world class. Because I've always stated that if you look at the hostel situations, it's nothing close to world class. And the leaders, again, they are so much focused on what the MPs are doing and how much they are pocketing, and they've really left the students to their own devices. So maybe they should just try as much as possible to ensure a student in school has a wholesome experience.
I remember one of the ladies.
A very good afternoon and welcome to the University of Nairobi UNSA Presidential Debate, and my name is John Chacha. You're catching us live on UNC TV. Remember, our social media handles is UNC TV KE on Instagram, X, and also Facebook. Remember, you can use the hashtag UNSA Presidential Debate. And today we're just doing a roundup. As we've been doing for the past 2 weeks, we've been speaking to the outgoing Student Leadership Council. We spoke to the governor for the outgoing governor from the University of Nairobi main campus, and also the Secretary General from the Faculty of Science and Technology. We also spoke to the staff commissioner from the Independent Electoral Commission, just to get a feel of what the year has been when it comes to the 2024-2025 student leader in terms of academic year when it comes to student leadership. And today, right now with me, I have representatives from the teams that were able to proceed to the presidential elections. We have Team Weledi and Team Fresh Perspective. Team Weledi being led by Philip Otieno from the Faculty of Health Sciences, and Team Fresh Perspective being led by Derek Troy from the Faculty of Engineering. I think I'll start on my far left, and I'll give each and every single member maybe 30 to 1 minute just to give a brief introduction, and we can start to our far left where we have Team Weledi.
My name is Salima Hussein. I'm a third-year law student at Parklands campus. I'm also the vice chairperson for Team Weledi.
Yes, thank you very much. In a modicum of comfort and as politeness dictates, my name is Otai Philip Otieno, Otai Topnotch, fifth-year medical student from the Faculty of Health Sciences, and I stand in as the chairperson Team Weledi. Thank you.
Next.
In my community, the wealth of a man is always spoken about by how good he introduces himself and how well he speaks of himself. My name is Derek Troy Rusana from the Faculty of Engineering, Bachelor of Science, Electrical and Information Engineering, the chairperson, Team Fresh Perspective.
Honored to be here. My name is Purity Mutua from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, 4th year, studying Bachelor of Veterinary Medicine, and standing in here as a Vice Chairperson or Deputy President in Fresh Perspective.
Karibuni sana. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2025-2026 presidential debate for UNSA. And I just, from your introduction, I can tell it's a very ambitious cohort that we're having today. And I just wanted to hop to the first question of the day. And many past leaders have campaigned on ambitious manifestos, but when it comes to the delivery, they've failed a little bit. So I really want to ask, what practical steps do you have for your first 100 days in office? I will start with Team Weledi.
Thank you very much once again. Otai Philip, Chairperson Team Weledi. So before I start, I'd like to bring to your attention that Team Weledi is not just a conglomerate of students picked to satisfy the UNSA constitution requirements, but this is a potpourri of visionary leaders that believe in visionary leadership, structural reform, and radical student empowerment. And as Team Weledi, in our first 100 days in government, our government is built around a student-centered approach, in the sense that whatever is done will be done with the interest of the students taking the center stage. And what do I mean by this? As Team Weledi, we are committed to ensure a sustainable revenue generation and revival of our student center. We can tell that when I joined this school in 2019, we had a functioning student center. In as much as it was not that adequate, but at least there was a student center in the school. When you go to main campus right now, next to Hall 9, there is no student center. So Team Weledi is committed to reintroduce a functioning student center that will become a hub for student activities. And through this, we can even have to rent it out and rent the spaces for conferences and exhibitions to generate revenue for the student community. I am well aware that we have existing resources that generate revenue to the student community. Notably, we have tuck shops, and we also have the work-study programs that I have found a fault. I did a survey and found out that there is need to speed up and re-establish these existing resources. Our tuck shops, for instance, are not well owned by the students that need to own them, who are the needy students. And so we cannot really have a well-established student kitty for the needy students if we don't first revitalize our existing resources like the student tuck shops and the work-study programs. So we are committing that in our first 100 days in office, we will have a student center in place and we will have our tuck shops reviewed. Secondly, as Team Weledi, we are championing to strengthen the Alumni Student Association. We did realize that it is a fact that our alumni is the richest alumni when we look at the other universities compared to the University of Nairobi. So as Team Weledi, we are committed to tap the alumni so that we can get resources for the school. We can invite them into annual UNSA alumni conventions that will serve as mentorship platforms for our students. And in this essence, we can get to link our students with the various relevant industrial experts. For example, when I go to KNH, we have the medical students, but then we have the medical doctors that went through the University of Nairobi and therefore qualify to be the alumni of Nairobi University. So if we can find a common ground where we can link our students with the relevant industry experts, then that will act to aid in mentorship, networking, and connection for the better future of our students. Another thing, as Team Weledi, we are also planning to reach out to our alumni so that they can help in alumni fundraising activities. For our needy students, we do realize that we are in an era that is marked by an administrative apathy, and we are in an era that is marked by rising accommodation fees in the school. We are in an era that is marked by the rising school fees that the common mwananchi, the normal student, may not be able to afford. Recently, you saw the introduction of the batching that put students into batches, whereby you are determined, your education future is determined by your economic background, which is quite unfair. So as Team Weledi, we have a task that when there is a threat, we should identify an opportunity in every threat and cater for our needy students to further their education in the University of Nairobi. Again, as Team Weledi, we are hereby committed to revamp our sports culture. What do I mean? We are committed to institute regular interfaculty competitions. As you are well aware, there is an event in UNSA called the UNSA Sports Day. That is a single event in a day. So therefore, I have to pass this question to the general student community. How then will you scout for a student's talent in football, rugby, basketball, netball, or any other sports in a single day? It is entirely impossible. So therefore, as Team Weledi, we would want to have regular interfaculty sports competitions, and we would want to decentralize the sports day, UNSA Sports Day, back to the faculties so that we can have an UNSA sports competition in every faculty. And it's not only running for a day. And that is why we came up with something called the UNSA Champions League, so that instead of having a day for sports where we rush things for the pride of winning and getting the financial reward, we will now have a league that will run throughout an academic year. And how will we then now actualize this? Because for every solution that you bring, there must be a process. How will we then actualize an UNSA Champions League? We are hereby committing to coordinate with partners like the Football Kenya Federations and other sports confederations to help us fund our events and scout our athletes and our footballers.
So we'll get back to the more on the sports topic. I just want us to give a chance to Team Fresh Perspective. I'll repeat the question: is what practical steps you'll take to have your manifesto achieved, or maybe part of it achieved, within the first 100 days?
Thank you so much. I am one person who is in the Faculty of Engineering, but I admire research and history. And part of what you see now as Fresh Perspective, it's not just a name that we came up to meet the requirements. Fresh Perspective is a name that we came up with because we want to bring something that has never been attempted before. This is a team that dares to do. Now, I talked about, I love history. I'm a big lover of history. And you do realize, for those who've been in school long enough, that before 2017, there used to exist a students' organization called SONU. Now, SONU was a vibrant students' organization, and SONU also had a president and had a council. The only difference between SONU and UNSA is that the students, all 58,000 plus, used to vote for the president. So why is there no student vibrancy in UNSA? What is it that the past presidents have been doing wrong to bring back that form of vibrancy? I'm bringing in something new, something very fresh, and something that I intend to work on within the first 100 days in office, because this is what our manifesto is built upon. We have 13 faculties, and all these faculties are diverse and they're unique in what they do. We also have student councils within those faculties, whereby there's a governor in each of the 13 faculties. Team Fresh perspective is about introducing a new idea, because it's often spoken about that financial resources are the lifeline of any organization. They fuel growth and they sustain any operation. Without them, even the most visionary things just becomes visions. Okay? So Team Fresh perspective is a team that is looking into bring more resources into our faculties, so that we enable those within our faculties to solve problems that are very unique to their faculties, because across all faculties, students face unique problems. Of course, there are problems that cut across, but we want to start from the grassroots. We want to start from the faculties, whereby, in a case where we have, for example, Faculty of Arts. Faculty of Arts boasts about 12,000 students. So in our first 100 days of office, we get in as a team, we need to establish committees of 10. And within these committees, at least 2 must be first years, because we are developing a culture, and within this culture is what we want UNSA to start being built upon. So that 2 students in the committees will be first years. And the job of the committee is to identify partners that are suitable for main campus, or partners that are suitable for a given faculty. Now within these partners, we are targeting a minimum of 2 per faculty, depending on numbers and depending on how hard our council will work. And we promise you we are going to work as hard as possible to ensure we have at least 2 partners per faculty, so that the governor who is in that faculty or the student leader who is in that faculty has something extra to work on that is outside the budget that is provided for by the school, so that we start solving unique problems within our faculties before we start solving problems that cut across everyone within the university. So we are bringing in a new method, and we are bringing in a method that is destined to ensure that UNSA is running from a building block, because gone are the days we can't no more say that UNSA is not working because of this and this. We need building blocks, and those building blocks are going to be established upon partnership, because we want to bring more resources into our university, we want to bring more resources into our faculties, such that if you are a governor and you had something unique in your manifesto, apart from doing the school events, which include the sports, the culture, and all those events, you get to do something unique within your faculty that is going to bring a building block for years to come. So Team Fresh perspective is just not for now, it's for the future, and it's for everything good that is to happen with UNSA if UNSA is to be in a position to work. And this is something that we've thought it through, and something that we've seen can be workable through a committee of 10. That is what we'll start with within our first 100 days. And within that committee, they will identify partners. We are going to write proposals, and now it will be upon the biggest organizations council and the biggest students association to source for partners for these faculties, so that even before we start drafting and we start sitting down sorting out our budgets, we have something and we have somewhere to start working with.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. And I want to go to the next question, as you have acknowledged the 13 faculties within the university and over the 58,000 plus students within the student body, and the University of Nairobi, being the world-class institution that it is, boasts a large array of different diverse students. We have undergraduate, we have postgraduate, we have students from marginalized communities, and also international students. How will you ensure that each of these students feels represented under your leadership? We'll start with Team Weledi.
Yes, we do recognize that the University of Nairobi is a diverse institution that attracts a majority of international students, more than any other university. So in our team, as Team Weledi, we have picked across the best that there can be in terms of accommodating every special group. When you look at my international student representative, she is from Congo, and I brought her in my team because I noticed what she can do for the students. Her manifesto is very clear in the sense that the students, international students, face serious hardships in this institution. Notably, when they come in, we have culture shock. Apart from the culture shock, these students are not accommodated in the institution. So they get into external accommodations where they get into traps. There is a student from my faculty who paid more than double the rent that she was supposed to pay in her accommodation area. And therefore, this is robbery of the highest order. And as Team Weledi, we are committed to write proposals to various accommodation organizations. We do recognize the institution's approach of including Kwetu and Kejani to help and subsidize accommodation, but we still feel that the accommodation at Kwetu and Kejani is still high, and we will therefore write a proposal to these external accommodation companies so that they get to accommodate our students. And faculties like Kenya Science and faculties that are far away from the CBD have not got this privilege of partnering with these institutions to get accommodation around school. So we'll therefore ensure that every international student is accommodated and not just left aside after their admissions. Thank you.
So, Team Fresh Perspective, the question is in your court now.
Thank you so much. I'd like to talk about diversity at the university. University of Nairobi is an institution that boasts of all kinds of students, whether international, whether local, masters, undergraduates, and even those doing certificates. As UNSA, part of what we want to establish, and as Team Fresh Perspective, is that we want a situation whereby if the university is to be great again, then it is through its own students. And by this virtue, our team looks to bring something called the Research Fund. And Research Fund is whereby council goes out, council mobilizes for research funds, such that we target specific faculties that are going to participate in this research. Faculties like agriculture, faculties like veterinary medicine, faculties like FST, Faculty of Science and Technology, and even KNH. These are faculties that we've targeted with this research fund, so that we get research fund and also we get research topics, so that students are able to participate in research, whether they're undergraduates, masters, whether they're international, they get to participate in research. And through research, we get to put our university back at the top. And also at the same time, through research, we also get to expose our students to something unique, something beyond what the administration is offering. I'm also aware and privy to the fact that international students face a lot. In fact, currently, international students face so many challenges, including the students' pass, including everything that is usually termed as culture shock. Team Fresh Perspective introduces Tembea na Mgeni by Fresh Perspective, whereby an admitted international students gets to be given a local student of the same faculty, and that local student will be allocated an allowance by UNSA. And the work of this local student would be to try and guide these students to maneuver through their faculties, to maneuver through the country, to maneuver through various cultures, and to maneuver even through the various sites that they have come to the country they want to study in. So Team Fresh Perspective is a team that brings in new ideas, and brings in new ideas that accommodates everybody, and new ideas that you don't have to get counsel to get to them, new ideas that will start to be solved within the faculty. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. And I want to throw my next question to the ladies on the panel this afternoon. And I'll start with Team Fresh Perspective. Your team goes with the vision of make UoN great again. What do you believe has been lost or deteriorated in student leadership that you want to restore, and how do you plan to restore it?
Thank you very much. We said make UoN great again because I have had the privilege of having my father pass here as an alumni, class of 1996. And some of the things that he went through as a student and the privilege that he had are something that we have a shadow of as we go on. And at this point in time, part of student leadership is about having grassroots engagement. You know, as council, we do not go through the electoral process of universal suffrage. It is delegate system. But how do we keep in touch with the people on the ground? Part of the things that ache us as a student leadership is that even when we're mobilizing or agitating for these things, most of the time we don't get traction as leaders. You find even if there's a call to action, people aren't privy to it, or there's that distrust. So part of student leadership now is building that trust again, building the confidence in student leadership, because we are a representation of you. There's nothing different from the students that we have as student leaders, only the vision and the goodwill to continue to pursue the interests of the students at heart. Another thing is that we want to get the basics right. Part of being a world-class university is having our academics in top-notch. We cannot have issues like missing marks. We don't hear that in Oxford. We don't hear that in Harvard. Why do we have it in the University of Nairobi? An institution that we get constantly ranked among the top, but there are things we need to get right. And so for us, it is working with the things that ail us from within, institutionally, the systemic problems. We solve that, and then we can extrapolate it and look for better solutions and even better and bigger ideas for the university. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. My next question is to Team Lady, and your manifesto emphasizes restoring power to comrades. What does this mean in practical terms, and how will your leadership be different from the previous administrations?
Okay, in restoring the power back to the comrades, our team is we have realized a gap between especially the student council and the comrades, the students' body at large, and we want to bridge that gap first. We do not want the council to be seen as the elite group in the school. We are normal students. We are students like any other student in the university. So for us, that's more like an inclusivity part. We want to be able to walk in the school compound and be addressed by the students. They'd be able to communicate with us rather than seeing us as money machines. Every time you're somewhere, you're just told transact. But it would be better if at any instance a student meets with a member in the students' council, they can bring up issues that they're facing in school, problems they're having, challenges that they're going through, which we can then address. So in bringing back power to the comrades, we also want to at least minimize the fact that there's a lot of admin involvement in the student council. We want the student council to be able to run student affairs wholly without any external interferences. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Team Lady. And for my next question, I think we can pick you, any person from each of the teams. And many students feel that the administration does not listen to their grievances when it comes to issues of tuition fees, missing marks, or maybe delays in services. And how will you ensure that there's better communication and engagement between the student body and the university management? Let's start with Team Fresh Perspective. We can have anyone from the team answering the question.
Thank you. The biggest problem, normally when there's a breakdown in communication, it's always the start of chaos in any organization. Kisumu campus, for example, is a campus whereby the administration has failed in communication. Even students out there, the biggest struggle is communication. And it is so sad from a university that boasts of being a world class that we struggle with communication. And communication starts at grassroots. Communication starts from the council in itself. My team is constituted of 7 members. Each of these 7 members are diverse across all faculties. And whereby faculties are not represented, they will be co-opted. And where does this communication start by? We are going to start communication by number 1. We are going to introduce something that we call a fresh students baraza, whereby we'll be holding barazas each at least twice in a month. And these barazas will be spread out. It will be either, if you do one in main campus, then the next one is done in veterinary medicine. If you do one in veterinary medicine, then the next month, the next one is done in Kisumu campus. And part of this student baraza, it will be composed of students and the council in itself, because breakdown in communication starts at the grassroots. If the administration does not listen, it means also the council is not listening. If the administration is not acting, it also means the council is not acting. So that straight from those student barazas, we come out and we come out with the way forward, with a plan forward, backed by the students. These are the proposals, these are what needs to be done, but first we must listen to you based on those barazas. So breakdown in communication can only be started once those are the council get down to faculty level, and us as Team Fresh Perspective will get down with you at faculty level. We will sit down with you at faculty level. You will tell us your grievances and we will going to air them out to the administration. And we are going to look for the best solutions for any given problem. But I promise you one thing, always there will be a positive outcome for the students.
So thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. My question goes on to Team Weledi. Same question. How will you ensure better communication and engagement between the student body and the university management?
Yes, thank you. And I'm glad that we do recognize that there's a break in communication and that we have administrative laxity, and a lot of bureaucracies that breaks communications between the administration and the students. We are also well aware that the conduit of communication between the students and the administration is the student leadership, which is now composed of the Student Council and the Student Congress, with the professional bodies backing them up. So now the first thing to ensure that we have a well communication between the students and the administration is to first have and empower our professional bodies and our student leadership platforms that we have. We do realize that our professional bodies in our various professions are not recognized by the institution. Neither are they funded, they don't have a budget. So by voting in Team Weledi, we hereby commit that we will ensure that we first empower our professional bodies, fund them, have them recognized, because they are the ones that are in contact with the students more than even the Student Council. So once we have that channel of communication where we have recognized student bodies, then we can now have a better communication channel with the between the students and the administration. As Team Weledi, we are also committing to have open communication channels with the students so that we can have fora where we communicate with students, both online and physical. And we are committing that as Team Weledi, we will introduce something called Kahawa na Weledi, whereby on specific days within the month, let's say for practicality and to be pragmatic enough, let us take, for example, once a month, we can have campus tours, so that campus tours are not only limited to the confines of elections and campaigns, but campus tours are now spread out to reach out to our students. So we can have Kahawa na Weledi every month. We walk to the different campuses and faculties, have a sit down with the leaders and the students at large, and we request, we will vouch for this, to have it included in our curriculum, such that these specific days will be blocked off, that there will be no academic activities going on, but a meet and greet and a kahawa between the students and the team that represents them. So that is it. And let us promise the students that in a number of occasions we've had failures in communications, and we'll have failures on the part of administration listening to our pleas. I always believe that the first point of action from a leader is negotiation. That is why you've entrusted us to lead you. So the first point of contact to any responsible leader is negotiations. But when push comes to shove, the tables break, chains get off, and we return the power back to comrades. And that is our mantra as Team Weledi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team Weledi. And on to my next question is that the University of Nairobi has a long history when it comes to student activism. But in recent years, the student leadership has been accused of being very passive and aligning too closely with the administration. What is your stance on student activism, and how will you strike a balance between diplomacy and assertive leadership? We can start with Team Perspective. Fresh Perspective, that is.
Thank you so much. Now, activism has been the bread and butter for the University of Nairobi Students Association for the longest time, and it is a big part of what makes the association strong. But how comes activism has not been working in UNSA? It is because right now the current systems that are there and what past leaders have been doing, there is no activism for the students because they do not know what UNSA is there to do for them. That is why, as Team Fresh Perspective, we are looking to solve our problems straight from the faculty level. Because if somebody recognizes the worth of an association, then they're always bound to stand up and defend the association. Otherwise, if the association only stands to benefit the leaders who run it, then the students will never be taking part in anything the association champions for them. So first, the association has to give back to the students. Okay? And the association can only give back to the students by making them involved, straight at faculty level. Okay? Let us do away with the fact that only student leaders at UNSA should get certificates. Why not everybody gets certificates straight from UNSA? That is whereby our alumni come in. And alumni are of all sorts. Not all of them are wealthy, not all of them are well-oiled, but we have several alumni. Now, amongst these alumni, we are going to pick out specific ones. Those alumni that have done 3-month courses, those alumni that in tandem with their degree, they've also added something useful that takes a short time to teach, so that within our tenure, we have a situation whereby there's an alumni offering a service for free and teaching a skill for free, such that at the end of the year, we as student leaders get our certificates for serving. Also, students get their certificates for empowerment in a specific skill for free, such that if my name is Derek Troy Rusana and I got a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, I also have a certificate signed by UoN Council in itself and signed by a professional alumni, which says I have completed back-end development within 3 months, and that is by UoN. Now tell me, if 58,000 plus students have certificates from UoN, tell me how can we be a passive administration during our tenure?
So on to Team Weledi. What's your response to the question on what's your stance on student activism and how will you strike a balance between diplomacy and assertive leadership?
Yes, we do realize many a times we don't get to create a clear-cut line between activism and advocacy. Most of the leaders that have come in place have resorted to student activism, but they get to miss the aspect of advocacy. Activism is just making noise. It may be intentional, objective, or just unintentional, that there is a problem, so let us yell and make noise. That is activism. Advocacy is now an objective activism, that you make noise to challenge a status quo, but objectively to arrive at a solution in restoration of what has been stolen from the students. And so as Team Weledi, when we formed our team, I say that this is not just a team brought together. This is a mix from grassroots mobilizers to seasoned advocates that will help steer this institution and blend activism with advocacy. Yes, so that is all.
So thank you so much, Team Weledi. And for my next question, I want to pass it to the ladies on the panel as well. And the job market is ever evolving, and we're having many graduates struggling with unemployment after graduation. And how will your administration work with industry leaders, alumni networks, and the university to ensure that students have that leave UoN leave better and are prepared for the workforce? We can start with Team Weledi.
For that aspect, my chair here has addressed the fact that we will introduce the alumni relations with will enhance the alumni relations with their comrades. We wish to expand that market because at the moment our university is producing a lot of students into the market, is releasing a lot of students into the market every year. We have faculties that have 2 graduations a year. So you see the number we're releasing out there is huge. And most of the time, experience is required. So with partnering with our alumni, our students can get first-hand experience, internship opportunities, attachments, and some can even be absorbed into job markets even before graduations. So the idea of bringing on board our alumni was actually to expand that marketplace for our students so that when we release them out there, when we are released out there, we are not just released blindly. We have people to hold hands. We have people who have been coaching us from the beginning and can now recommend us to various places, various sections, and this would really be helpful because you understand that most of the students from the university don't have godfathers out there. So if our alumni can be our godfathers, if every of the 58,000 plus students gets a godfather before even graduation, now wouldn't that reduce the number of unemployed students, unemployed by then not students, by then now you're a professional. We will not have professionals from the University of Nairobi unemployed. Less stress, less mental health issues, less numbers in the suicidal incidents. So it will curb a lot of things while also sharpening these students, because you would go to a job and you need like 5-year experience, but you've been interning when you're in the university at an alumni's farm somewhere, and now you have around 3 to 4 years experience before graduation. For the Faculty of Health Sciences, they start their clinical sessions from third year, I think it's third year, from third year, and that's, let's say, you're interning for more than 4 years. By the time you're graduating, you have that 4-year experience. So we're releasing you. Now you have a coach, you have a godfather, and the market is very ready for you. And you also know where in the market to step in. You're just not going in blindly. Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Team Lady. I'll go to Team Fresh Perspective. I'll just repeat the question. How will your administration work with industry leaders, alumni networks, and the university to ensure every student that leaves with the University of Nairobi leaves better prepared for the workforce?
Thank you so much for your question. There's a report that was sent or shared by an institution in Rwanda. It was called the Career Readiness Report. And the problem that institutions are facing is that they are not adapting to the job market. In fact, as we speak, there's a rigidity in the curricula as a university. And what happens is we have students who are coming out with a curricula that would serve the job market a decade ago. So how do we equip students to become career fluid? One, partnering with industry leaders to update the curricula. Why? Because if an axe is not sharp enough, it won't cut the timber. That is the truth. In fact, at this point in time, I am a product of someone who has been in courses and a lot of learning outside of the institution to be able to catch up to the job market as it is. Industry leaders come in because their industry is evolving. So is like AI and technology. It's come in and disrupted a lot of the job opportunities that are there. You can imagine someone like me who is doing veterinary medicine. Where does AI and technology come in? It's not in the curricula. By the time we move fast forward, we would be doing things differently with the tech, the equipment, the expertise, the knowledge. And so part of it, one, is engaging the leaders, the captains of industry. And that is in line with a part of what the Chancellor wants to do with the Big Five agenda. The market cannot absorb people who are not equipped to serve the market as it prevails. We need students to come out of it with expertise in leadership, expertise in technology, and the ability to adapt to the jobs. There are people who can be, and I've seen it, journalism students entering into sectors like agriculture, because there's something like agri-tech, there's agricultural journalism, and so what we need students to do, and how we're going to do it, is, the chair mentioned it, doing courses that enhance our adaptability. We need students to be career fluid. We need them to be people who enter the job market as sharp axes to cut through the job market as it stands. And part of why Council is here is to lead students to a change in the unknown times. The world right now shifts tremendously over a period of time. So how then do us as Council steer students to a place where when we stand side by side by someone from Harvard or Oxford or Manchester, we are at the same par in terms of technology, in terms of technical expertise, in terms of research, because research is a big part of the university, given that it is an institution of academics, of academia. That is what we want to do, to create an adaptable student, a career-ready student, and a student for the 21st century. Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. And I want to dive into each of your manifestos. I'll start with Team Weledi. And you promise effective, transparent, and student-centered governance. However, for past student leaders have made such similar pledges with little changes. How will you ensure true transparency and what mechanisms will you put in place to track your progress? Team Weledi.
Yes, we have promised a transparent governance to the students. While I may not delve into criticizing the immediate former government, I will speak for Team Weledi, in that Team Weledi will be transparent and will maintain the highest level of integrity to the students when it comes to handling of finances for the student events. And this is why we are here as Team Weledi, vouching that we have UNSA accounts such that we can, as administration, together with the students, can fast track the flow of funds from the central administration down to our faculties. And we also envision to have regular financial reports, if we can do them on a quarterly basis, so that after 3 months we do a financial report for UNSA that will be collective, right from the faculties up to the student council, and report to our students who've given us the mandate to lead them. So we are committing to regular UNSA financial reports that will be transparent and will be read out to the students, even in our campus tours, to promote transparency and integrity, because it is only the students that can scrutinize us better, since they are the owners of the power that we wield. Yes.
So, do you have anything to add on the same topic to represent your team?
No, I think he said it all.
He said it all.
Yeah.
So I'll go in with Team Fresh Perspective. And your manifesto prioritizes streamlining grade allocation and solving missing marks issues. How do you plan to work with faculties and administration to implement a permanent system-wide solution? Team Fresh Perspective, you can pick anyone from the team.
Yes, allow me to speak on that. What I realized, having been a student and also someone who's keen into listening into the challenge of the different faculties, is that, one, overarching, there's a systemic issue. Why would the portal not allow marks to be uploaded because you've not registered courses? Why have you not registered courses? Because you've not paid fees. And so what happens is there's going to be hanging grades. I'd speak for my faculty, for example. And so one thing is updating the system. I think with or without registration of courses, marks should be there. And there should be a streamline of processes, because I've mentioned this before in my opening remark. Getting the basics right is the most important thing of a university. Academics should be the baseline, and that is where we have potholes. We had cases of where students in Loka Beta were not cleared to graduate, and it was something that was on the news. And unfortunately, it is to the shame of a university when the things that we struggle with to do and has to be solved by activism. One, it is to update the system. The system needs to be able to work for students regardless of what course they're doing, what registration they're doing, so that we have these marks in the portal. If it is indeed something about registration of courses, the marks are still there in the system. We don't have someone saying, oh, we lost your paper somewhere and we don't get your missing mark. Another thing is allowing the students the right to contest and defend their marks and their ability to do the exams. We had a demonstration in College of Agriculture and Veterinary Sciences, and that was because of administrative issues. I won't go deep into the details, but I believe the university and the administration, we have to be there for an institution to run. We can't just be UNSA as a university. We need the administration. But we need to streamline some of these things. And it's a discussion that depends per faculty level, because different faculties face different academic issues depending on the prevailing systems that are in place. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. On to Team Weledi. Your manifesto mentions creating an online platform for petitions and feedback. How will you guarantee that students' concerns submitted through this platform will be addressed and not ignored? Team Weledi.
Yes, so we have promised an online platform that will allow students to present their petitions that then we will relay to the administration and get effective feedback back to the students to fast track their issues. So it is the students that have given us the mandate to serve them. And being students in our own essence, in the first place, we have to realize that we are students before we even talk of our leadership roles. So as students that are part of the comrades and the entire student fraternity, we hereby promise that everything will be transparent and we will give feedback to every petition that is relayed to the administration, not only acting as a conveyor belt from the students to the administration and back, but also acting as the champions for these petitions and issues that affect our students. Because in the first place, we are students. So why would we ignore the students' pleas and petitions? Why would we lie that we haven't received a petition? Why would we block a student's petition not to reach the required destination? That is witchcraft of the highest order, and that is not what Team Weledi is built on. Team Weledi is built on transparency. Team Weledi is built on visionary leadership, and Team Weledi is built on honesty. Yes.
Thank you so much, Team Weledi. I think we've had both of your perspectives when it comes to missing marks and also creating an online platform. And I just want to ask, I think we'll start with the most recent topic on creating an online platform for responses. You as a Team Fresh perspective, from the perspective of a student, what critique or what critique do you have towards what he's said when it comes to creating the platform? Do you feel that this is a need for the school? As a student, do you think it's something over-ambitious? Do you think, what's your perspective?
Thank you. Responses and feedback have been there since time immemorial, and it has never fixed the issue. I can make a Google form, I can send it out to collect responses. So I don't think collecting responses online is a form that will work to get feedback and to ensure that the students' grievances are heard. I think the best way to hear students' grievances is to always be in touch with the students, okay? So that in my council, if I have a team of 7, and this even goes down straight to the faculty, it should not pass by a week if you do not visit your students, if you do not talk to them, if you do not have conversations with them. Then from there on is when we can collect the right amount of feedback, because online platforms are effective, but in the current situation for UNSA, online platforms won't work because they have been tried before. But the situation whereby leaders run away from those who elected them and hiding online is over from Team Fresh perspective, because this is a team that has been built upon by the fact that we have been with the students, we have been in touch with them, and we will always be in touch with them. So we are not doing it online, we have to come to you, so that that specific student stands up and says, I want this and this has not been done right. Because even if it is leadership, we are doing it at a consultative level. That is the whole point. And given the fact that we are not elected by the whole students' fraternity, we have to compensate for it by going back to the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you have anything else to add on that topic? I can see you jotting down some notes. Do you have anything to counter what he said?
Yes, I think my brother got me wrong. When we were speaking about our manifesto, we talked about Kahawa na Weledi, which means going back to the students and meeting them, listening to them. We're not only going to drink coffee, but we're going to meet the students and get to know those issues that are affecting them. But then I'm also shocked that the other team that has beautifully talked about technology and AI integration is now dismissing the essence of technology, which is in the agenda of the university and the Vice Chancellor. So I do really, I'm amazed at what they mean. So when we come to the online platforms for submission of petitions, you will agree with me that there are certain petitions that one would not feel comfortable passing to you personally. And I see in university very old suggestion boxes that are never functional. And so we cannot rely on the suggestion boxes right now. So petitions like on grounds of sexual harassment, you would want to agree with me that these are petitions that such victims don't feel comfortable approaching you on a one-on-one case. So by having online platforms, we are embracing technology that is in the core of our institution. So we have to embrace the online platforms, not as a replacement of the physical touch with the student, but as a complement and an augmentation of the current structures that we are going to put in place, which is physical touch with the students. So it is an augmentation, and it is not a replacement. Underline the word augmentation, not a replacement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team Lady. Still on you, Team Lady. What response do you have to our Team Fresh Perspectives perspective on solving the missing marks issue? Do you agree with what they've shared, or do you also have a different perspective on how you would solve the issue?
I'll take that. First of all, I come from Faculty of Law. I have filled so many forms from my faculty for the missing marks. So many, they're so uncountable. I've actually gotten known in my faculty for having filled the highest number of forms for missing marks. And I do not think she has mentioned anything to curb that, because if we are going to do it according to technology and everything, we have filled those forms. Trust me, speaking from a personal perspective, because I am a comrade at the University of Nairobi and I have suffered from the missing marks issues, and every single time we are addressing them online. We are addressing them on Google Forms, course code. We have filled those forms up to the extent we know the course codes by head. We don't even need to check. You know how you just forget your course code and you have to call a friend? No, because it's the same unit, you're doing it again and again. And when we bring it up to the students' leadership from our faculty level, everything is another form. Another form comes, you're collecting another list. You're collecting another list again. The lists are always collected, but there are no feedbacks. And you see that the one thing that my chair here addressed is that, and is in our manifesto, we want that feedback form now, because we are tired of just applying, filling forms. Now we want the feedbacks. So the only way we'd get feedbacks is if we have that platform to air it out. If we get it, I would air it out. We had a chance, I think, within last semester. An email was sent to us for us to comment on the school, I think. And we commented. We did in large numbers, especially because of the missing marks issue. And all these are done by using technology. And it has proven futile. If anything, we're just getting promises of it will be done.
So you have something to add on the issue?
Yes, I have something to add on the issue, because Team Fresh Perspective is dreaming of handling missing marks by updating systems. I want to say that that is purely very impractical, and that is not the basis of missing marks. I want to share a case scenario. When you go to these offices to request for your transcripts, just on a normal day, a chilly Monday morning or a warm Sunday or a warm Friday afternoon, that transcript will take more than 2 weeks for you to receive it. But when we had our elections and we had the privilege to ask for our transcripts, these transcripts were out within the very day of asking, meaning these systems are working. We are not just having honest or competent system users in our institution. We have secretaries in our offices that are only there to massage their ego and attitude towards the students, not knowing that it is the students' population that has empowered them to be in those offices and be part of the University of Nairobi. So if we want to get it right when it comes to missing marks, then we have to get to our system users. Are they competent enough to get these marks in time? Our systems are not outdated.
So thank you so much, Team Lady. And I'm just getting in some comments from our social media platform, and they're asking, to what extent would you should you follow the law when it comes to asking for your transcripts? Because it's a process. So have you followed the law when it comes to requesting for your transcripts?
Sorry?
I'm asking, there's a comment we're getting from our platforms. They're asking, to what extent are you following the law when it comes to requesting the transcripts? Because it can't be just you want your transcript, immediately you get it. So they're asking, what's the process that you've been able to follow?
Yes, I want to admit that these transcripts come out depending on the urgency of the matter. When we had the elections, they came almost on the very day of ask, meaning it is action out of urgency. Yes.
So, and also on the issue of, I'll get back to you to give the response to them. Maybe this question I can pose it to each of you, because you've both teams have spoken on the issue of missing marks. But when it comes to missing marks, it's an issue that the teams responsible are both the students and the lecturers per se. You've given the issue when it comes to the school, but when it comes to the student level, because we're having students not attending classes and still saying they have missing marks, and maybe they have not done the cards, they've not done the exams. What's your response to this, and how do you seek to mend this issue on a student level rather than the system based? You can start with Team Fresh Perspective.
Thank you. You've clearly stated it that the problem cuts across both divides, whereby you have both the lecturers and you have the students who also at times are at fault. So how do we start fixing it from a student point of view? Because we as students, we usually get the basics wrong at times, but not all the time. We don't get it wrong all the time. Most of the time, anybody at the University of Nairobi is somebody who can get the basics right. So as a council and as Team Fresh Perspective, the best place to start at a student point of view is to now check through faculties. What are the cases that are there on missing marks? And who are those affected, and which faculties are the most prominent with the missing marks? That is the best place to start, because if you find in a faculty of main campus whereby there are a lot of students who have missing marks, is it the issue? Is it that the numbers are too many? Is it that the students did not register for the units? Is it that the students didn't sit for specific exams? And from there on, those specific departments that are affected, the lecturers have to release a list stating clearly why this mark is missing and why this mark is available. And that one, we as Team Fresh Perspective will champion for it personally, so that each student knows, why am I here in this place? I have a missing mark because I did not sit a unit, or I have a missing mark because of this and this. And in any case where the person responsible is not in a position to explain why the student has missing mark, then that is now cause for action. And we as Team Fresh Perspective, from a student's perspective, will ensure that you do get the reason why your mark is missing. And if the reason why your mark is missing is a reason not associated to you, then that is where we step in.
Team Lady, what's your response on advocating for students to solve the issues within missing marks that's their fault, per se?
Yes, first of all, I want to admit that the issues of missing marks are purely administrative. When a student fails to get to a class or attend a class, then there must be a reason behind it, why that student has failed to attend a class. So I want to say that missing marks is purely administrative. And I got to realize this when you are having this process of constitution of teams as Team Weledi. When you go to the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, that is where we had the most numbers of missing marks, and most team members were disqualified out of our teams because of missing marks. And I know that the problem is within the administration. Let us agree that staffing is an issue in the institution. When you look at the lecturer to the student ratio in our institution, it is quite wanting. There's a big gap. In my faculty of Health Sciences, sorry to say that we lost quite a number of lecturers last year and even this year. But none has been replaced. But we keep on admitting students. So what happens? You have a lot of students with very few lecturers. You do your exam honorably and respectfully and responsibly as a student, because I know the students of the University of Nairobi are very responsible students, the creme de la creme of the nation. But then what comes up is that we don't have enough markers. We don't have enough people to upload these marks in time and have them in the system. That is why we face this backlog. A case, for example, is my initial persons with the disability that was in my team from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. I felt for him. My brother is visually impaired. My brother uses brailles, but there are inadequate transcribers in the institution. So what happens? Uploading his marks takes ages. Getting his marks in the system would require a Methuselah to be born and a Methuselah to die. So he had to be dropped off from our team because of an issue that was not his, an issue that is purely on understaffing in the administration. So if we can have enough lecturers as an institution, then the problem of missing marks can be a thing of the past. And as Team Weledi, we promise that we are going to push that whatever we pay, the school fee we pay, has to be accounted for. We have to have lecturers that will teach us, and these lecturers have to be compensated wholesomely.
So thank you so much, Team Weledi. Team Fresh Perspective, you are yet to respond to Team Weledi's critique on your form, on how you would, your structural implementation when it comes to the missing marks issue. Do you have any response to their critique?
Mine is very brief. When the word system is used, it is to include the technical structure as well as the personnel running the system. The process between you getting to the cut, sitting down for it, writing your name in the list as you've sat down for the exam, getting your marks back is a system in itself. And when we talk about an efficiency of a system, we are talking about an efficiency from start to finish. I think maybe that was lost through the interpretation, and that is all I have to say.
So thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. And on to the other thing, issue and area within your manifesto is Team Weledi, you have promised to advocate for increased bursaries, emergency aid funds, and scholarships for financially struggling students. How will you ensure that these funds are allocated fairly and transparently?
Yes. We have promised to have an increased allocation in the UNSA bursary fund. What we know is that UNSA allocates around 7,000 shillings as bursary to the students. Take a case, for example, a student in the Faculty of Health Sciences, a self-sponsored student that pays 648,000 shillings in a year for their studies. Giving them 7,000 to offset their school fee is not only a drop of water in the ocean. It is clearly very insignificant. So as Team Weledi, we are hereby promising that we will get to increase the allocation to the UNSA bursary. But there is now a process. How then do we do this to increase the allocation? Where will we get the money? That is where the aspect of having the alumni-student connection comes in, so that we tap into resources. And I want my team as Team Weledi to know clearly, crystal clear, before we even get into the government on Thursday, that the UNSA budget is not enough to make a change. So we have to be people that think out and wide, be creative enough, source for funds, not only mobilizing for resources, but thinking along the lines of revenue generation. So when we have this together, we organize events, get revenue, we work together with our professional bodies down there, help them together and get revenue. Our existing resources like tax shops can get revenue, then we tap them in to have our UNSA kitty that will explode the accounts of the UNSA Basary. Yes.
Thank you so much. Do you have anything else to add on what he said? Sawa. Team Fresh Perspective, you have something similar, though yours talks about a stronger bursary fund through resource mobilization. Could you maybe tell us about that and how different is it maybe structurally to what Team Weledi has?
Well, I'll take that. Now, when I started talking about fresh perspective, I was talking about a new way of doing things. Now, similarly, the same way we are going to get partners in every faculty is the same way council in itself is going to have specific partners, such that whenever we have events such as the annual Mr. and Miss UoN Gala, which is usually budgeted for, whenever we have those events, we use partners to cut costs. We have to start from ourselves. We, as an association, have to start cutting costs. So we use partners to cut costs so that whatever is left and whatever is cut can be added to the bursary kitty for the students. That is where we start from. Before anything else, we have to cut costs as an association first. That is the first priority. Then that is when we get to partners. How can partners put more into what we have in terms of bursary? How can people at faculty level mobilize for more resources in terms of what we have in the faculty? So that means that essentially, if we get a faculty of arts, 3 partners, 4 partners, then those 4 partners should be able to cater partly for what you've done inside the faculty. So what you have left, what are you doing with it? Are you increasing the allocation? Are you increasing the beneficiaries? We have to start from ourselves first before we mobilize anywhere. And the mobilization anywhere is going to be done by council in itself. But council in itself, as a step and as an example of what we want to do, we have to start by cutting costs. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. And to my next question, I'll start with Team Weledi. And mental health is a growing concern among university students, and with many struggling in silence. What actionable policies will you implement to ensure better mental health support services on campus?
Yes. Mental health is key. And as a student of adversity, and as a student stemming from the Faculty of Health Sciences, where we deal with the mental sanctum of the human being, Team Perspective is committing to introduce a new system of handling mental health. We are not going to call people into halls and auditoriums every time and again and tell them how it is okay not to be okay. It is okay for a man to cry, and it is okay for a lady to yell. No. The Team Weledi is coming up with something that is quite similar to what is happening in Zimbabwe. My curiosity was drawn to what one gentleman, a very famous psychologist in Zimbabwe, called Dr. Dickson Chibanda. Dr. Dickson Chibanda introduced something in Zimbabwe called the Friendship Bench. It was a community-based approach to handle mental health, whereby you have the old grandmothers in our society sit on a friendship bench with the victims of mental health facing their backs facing each other, then they talk over mental health. That is purely out of experience and purely out of goodwill. So as Team Weledi, and in the spirit of going out and wide to source for ideas, we therefore came with something called the Comrades Bench, whereby we are planning to reach out to institutions like Kwetu that provide furniture and resting blocks in our institution, so that we have something more similar to the friendship bench, and then also reach out to the administration to bring more university councillors and train more university councillors on how to talk out mental health with the students. So we can therefore invite students, whether in a mental crisis or on the brink of a mental crisis or in the looming of a mental crisis, you can now get to sit with a university councillor on the Comrades Bench and talk things out before we start talking about it is okay not to be okay. Yes.
Thank you. Team Fresh Perspective, what plans do you have in terms of mental health?
Thank you. I'll start with this. Fimbo ya mbali haiui nyoka. I believe, one, that there are already structures in place. And I say this as someone who has seen it firsthand. Our faculty had a suicide in December 2023. And the first course of action that was done was understanding the landscape, having a survey. Participation was low. Most people don't do surveys. And so what was introduced is peer counselors. They're actually there. They were certified. There's a new cohort certified constantly. We need more foot soldiers. There are people and places we cannot reach. As leaders, we serve 55,000 plus students. How then can we be in touch with these students individually? And that is where the peer counselors come in. We have the system in place. Why don't then we empower it and bolster it? Another issue is decentralizing mental health activities. We have the UoN Wellness Center in Towers. I come from Upper Kabete campus. Are we supposed to go to main campus when you're having suicidal thoughts and depression? No. Where do we start? We start with the counselors that are there. Secondly, create wellness centers across the campuses. There's no difference between me in Maine and me in Upper Kabete. We should have people on the ground to help. We need also to have a suicide watch, because this is something that is prevailing. KNH, I know there's a ground where you plant trees, and we need to make sure that there's no more trees added to that ground. And we are suffering from many existential crises for young people. There are many, and many people have experienced it firsthand. How then can we have someone next to you who'll tell you it's going to be okay? Students for students, comrades for comrades. Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. And on to Team Weledi. Improving Wi-Fi connectivity in lecture halls, hostels, and social spaces is part of your agenda. Given we've had such manifestos in the previous regimes, what makes your approach different and achievable?
Okay,
Team Weledi.
For the Wi-Fis, you find that it's very difficult for me to connect automatically here if I'm from Parklands, and it's not supposed to be like that. Someone from main campus, when they go to Faculty of Law, they're supposed to be connected automatically, because it uses our AD accounts, so, and the Wi-Fis are the same. So it doesn't make sense why I should struggle to get the password here, yet, or to connect here, yet I have that AD account. I'm a registered student. I'm supposed to connect immediately when I step into the school. So ours is just to expand, because we understand with the tech-savvy people, there's a way to increase that connectivity so that it can cover not just within buildings, it can be expanded. I can use it when I'm in the garden out there. I can use it in the library. I can use it while I'm using the stairs. I can access at any time. So at any instance I need something online, I can reach it. This is in relation to anything. Academics, you want to access the online library, you want to log into an online class, you want to download something, academic materials. So if I'm not able to access the Wi-Fi, you're crippling me, literally. So we want to expand it. We want to improve it. Not just because what we have, yes, we do have it, but it's not as at par with what we want it to be.
And on something similar, Team Fresh Perspective, you're trying to negotiate for reduced accommodation fees. How do you plan to convince the administration to make such reductions?
Accommodation has been the biggest issue at the University of Nairobi since I joined in first year. And there has been governments that have been there before who have been trying to actually negotiate for it. Oh, we are going to reduce it by 3,000. Oh, we are going to reduce it by 4,000. Before we knew it, we were hitting 50,000 plus for accommodation fees, which is quite high. And the underlying term there is negotiate, but that is the most friendliest of terms we can use, because in terms of negotiation, that has not worked before. But now our negotiation now comes to a point where we want to approach it in a very different manner, because accommodation hiking up is something that is ailing all students. And we have even empty hostels in Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. We have empty hostels even at main campus here. So the university does not stand to gain, because if hostels are empty, then there is no source of revenue for the university. So if we were to bring those accommodation prices down, where do we start from? Number one, is the accommodation prices justified for the kind of rooms we are getting? They are not, because most of the rooms that are there are rooms that have long since seen renovation. The normal renovation plan is always paint, fix doors, fix cabinets, and leave it like that. Okay? So the accommodation fee has to be justified, number one. If it is not justified, then it has to come down, because it can't be extremely high and at the same time the price is not justified. So that is where the negotiating part is. Can it be justified? If it can't, then now we scrap off the negotiating part. It now becomes, it has to come down. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. And we've really dwelled a lot when it comes to maybe the ills or maybe where the university has fallen short. And I just want to ask you, as students yourself, what are some of the things that you appreciate within the university and the things that the university has been able to successfully implement and that you've been able to benefit from as students? We'll start with Team Weledi.
I know that right now we are in the Silicon Age. And one thing that I'd like to appreciate the university for embracing is technology. That right now we have blended systems of learning where we have both online and physical classes. So by embracing technology in the institution is a plus to the institution. So that is my biggest appreciation to the institution, embracing technology.
So much. Do you have anything else you want to add on things that you're appreciative towards the university?
Well, I'm not necessarily a beneficiary, but I do go through our emails. I see so many internship opportunities, local and both international. So I congratulate the school for making such efforts to bring us not just on national level, but also let us grow on international levels.
Team Fresh Perspective, what are some of the issues or maybe some of the things that you're appreciative to the university? Is maybe being directly a beneficiary towards them, or maybe you've seen or you're friends with someone who's benefited from them?
I'd like to maybe appreciate the school on two grounds. Number one is the fact that now this university boasts of a chancellor who's ready to participate with students in moving the university forward in terms of a Big Five agenda, in terms of innovation, in terms of what can be done in research. So that is a step forward. It means that the university is evolving, and the person who is evolving in the university the person at the pinnacle is also somebody who is very well connected. Number two, we've also picked a leaf from the university in our manifesto. The university tries as much for students to participate in research. But normally, when that usually comes out, it's usually the lecturers who usually get the opportunities, because students, most of the times, are not interested in doing research. So what we want to do as Team Fresh Perspective is we want to make it more active in research, because there is funding in research, there is opportunities in research, and there is being placed on the map when you do research. Thank you.
Do you have something else to add?
Yes. I would say one is, it is the pride of standing as a stakeholder of a history and as a legacy that precedes me. The confidence we have here today, even to vie, comes from the fact that our history speaks for us and that we have a legacy more robust than anything there is as a university across Kenya and in Africa as a whole. And so one thing I pride myself in is the alumni and the people who have come before me to form the university that it is. And secondly, it is in the administration's and the university's pursuit to maintain that same integrity and structure. Keeping an institution running is difficult, and keeping it still maintaining semblance, even though with its own flaws, maintaining the name the University of Nairobi, that is something I'm proud of to say, that I am a student of the University of Nairobi. Thank you.
So, Team Fresh Perspective, you propose to fully devolving UNSA funds to faculties for independent financial management. How will you ensure accountability and prevent mismanagement at the faculty level? Team Fresh Perspective on that.
Normally, the famous saying is that money is usually the divide amongst us. And we as student leaders, and in fact, even on a global national scale, money and accountability is usually the gripping issue, even in the country in itself. But how are we as Team Fresh Perspective willing to manage a Congress and a council that is both accountable and transparent? Number one, the existing systems for accountability and transparency, which have been established by the school. But we want more than that. We want even straight from faculty level, if there's a leader within a faculty level, when we do hold the barazas and when you do talk to your students, they have every reasons to question, and you have every reasons to present to them your financial reports and to present to them what you've done within your time and within the money that you're given. Okay, so if there is any form of unjustified money expenditure, or there is any form of corruption anywhere, then the students are also free to participate and channel it through the right channels to ensure that there is action that is taken, because that money belongs entirely to the students completely. Even if we are looking to mobilize more resources, we still have to find the best way to manage the current resources. And the best way to manage resources is usually you get a group also within faculty level who their job is, because not everybody at faculty level can audit and analyze financial documents, and there are auditors within the school. But the job of a student is to check the pictures uploaded in this report. Do they reflect really what was done? What was done this day, is it really what was happening this day? Is the person who is pictured in this picture somebody even from this faculty? That now will be the job of the student. So it will be a collaborative role such that between the students and the auditors within the school to check and balance finance expenditure within faculties.
Team Weledi, do you have any response to Team Perspective's need or maybe desire to devolve UNSA funds to faculties? Do you have any response towards that?
Okay, yeah, so Team Perspective has talked about devolving the funds to the faculties, while at the same time claiming to want to cut costs. As someone who has served in UNSA and know how budget allocation happens to the various faculties, I'm perplexed to understand that we're going to cut costs when we are also preaching the mantra of mobilizing for resources. So I think team perspective should come clear on how they're going to balance cutting costs with the little that we devolved the faculties vis-a-vis how they're going to cut costs while maintain devolution and mobilize for more resources. Because ideally, what is in place is that funds are devolved to the faculties. The only thing that is not there is that funds are not devolved to the professional bodies, which we as Team Weledi feel that we should now devolve funds to the professional bodies because they are key in handling our students.
Team Fresh Perspective, what's your response on that?
That when he started, he mentioned that he's somebody who's been there before. And as somebody who's been there before, you're privy to the fact that only the process is devolved and not the actual funds. And he's asked a good question. How do you balance cutting costs and mobilizing for more resources? We are cutting costs to meet the dying needs of our fellow students. We are cutting costs so that we can increase Basary elsewhere. That is the reason for cutting costs. At the same time, we also recognize the funds that are allocated are not enough, even at faculty level. They are not enough. And that's a fact. And we're introducing partners, and partners are not coming in to bring more funds. They're coming in to help us and collaborate with us, such that if you had something to do within the faculty, the partners that you have with you will serve you for that whole year. And they will take care of something within what you intended to achieve. So that somewhere, even at faculty level, there's saving and there's a cutting cost and there's money that can be channeled elsewhere, even at faculty level, because you do understand there's a Basary both for council and there's a Basary also at faculty level. So if I am doing the same with my people at council level, then the same is also being done with the people at Congress level. Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. On to you, Team Weledi. You plan to organize leadership workshops to equip students with public speaking, negotiation, and networking skills. How will you ensure that these opportunities are accessible to all students and not just a selected few?
Yes, we plan to have leadership workshops that are not only limited to the student leaders, but also to the general student body. What we did realize when we were doing our campus tours and getting to interact with the various faculties is that there are certain vital professional skills and courses that were called common units that have since been scrapped off from our curriculum. For example, communication skills, HIV and AIDS, leadership. These soft professional skills have been scrapped off. So as we are in a bid of reintroducing them and lobbying for their introduction to our curriculum, we are also introducing another form of inculcating them now deep into our students. And that is where now organizing workshops on leadership come in for Team Weledi. Because let me tell you for a fact, nowadays our industries, our company managers and employment agencies don't really marvel at your degree. Apart from your degree, what sets you apart and gets you competitive in the corporate world? That is where professional skills, professional foundation skills like leadership, communication, grit, and mindset come in. So that is a commitment we are giving to the students, that we will organize workshops and we will do them in every faculty and not just an UoN Council leadership workshop. We will work hand in hand with the governors in every faculty and organize faculty-specific leadership workshops, considering in mind the course that is offered in that faculty, and how that leadership workshop and the professional soft skills would blend best with your career to give you an edge above other students or competitors in the job market.
Okay. Team Weledi, what's different with your, how different is your plan on networking skills and all that you've talked about different to what the office or the skill center here at the University of Nairobi is offering, because we're having similar opportunities from the Office of the Dean of Students and also the UoN Skill Center. How different is your perspective, or is what you're planning to do different from what the school is already offering?
Yes, we do understand that these systems are already in place, but we also criticize that these systems do not cover all students. And that is why the aspect of making them faculty-based comes in, such that we not only receive communications from the Central Dean of Students, but we have them in every faculty. Because, for instance, in Kenyatta National Hospital campus, where I come from, we never really get to know when these skills are offered, where, how they are planned, and who should attend them. So by devolving them, decentralizing them from the office of the main dean, we can now have them at the faculty level to ensure that all students or all faculties are covered and are in the know of the skills offered in our institution. So the difference is decentralization, taking them back to the people, making them student-centered, built around and within the student community at the faculty level. And we also want them to be faculty-specific. They may be faculty-based, but they should also be faculty-specific in that a skill that may augur well with the Faculty of Agriculture may not augur well with the Mombasa campus. So now we need to get back to the drawing board, get to know what skills will augment well with the courses we offer in our various faculties. That is when now we can come on board and now have them in various faculties, not just announcing them for the sake of their existence.
So Team Weledi, Team Fresh perspective, do you have any response to his agenda?
Thank you. You've talked about soft skills and leadership roles and training people in leadership. Naturally, man is usually a leader. A man and human beings are usually leaders. And it's just nurturing of these skills that is needed. I believe to be more realistic, since UNSA is just done within a year, I believe the best way forward for ensuring that soft skills are developed across all faculties comes down to still what I talked about when I began in our manifesto. If, let's say, main campus has 2 partners that are to serve it for its entirety of the whole year, then main campus, for example, has Safaricom, and main campus, for example, has another company. These companies might not be related to what people are doing at main campus, but certainly the company has leaders. So why don't we tap into that, so that in the process of using partners to also chip in, we also use partners to form a symbiotic relationship in terms of training for the leaders and training for the leaders within that specific faculty. So we are driven at solving the problem straight at faculty level, and we have a plan for it, and we have a systematic way to do it, because we also understand UNSA is a very short time. In fact, maximum it's 8 months at most. So we need to be realistic with how we want to achieve our plans and how we'd like to achieve our goals. If there are existing systems, partner with them. If you can bring more existing things to add to what is there, then let it be also be used. But the whole point of this is that we start a new culture, a culture whereby we use what is there first and we add extra onto it. Then at the end of our tenure, once all those leaders have trained people and those partners have participated in the events at faculty level, we as UNSA would call a dinner for them, for all partners that have stood with the University of Nairobi Students Association, so that we have a working relationship, so that whoever comes after us comes and starts from a point of good relation with both partners and corporates.
Thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. We have a few minutes left on our time, so I want to give maybe a minute each for each of the teams. And we've talked about the positive things that you're grateful to the university towards. And just on that note, on the positive things towards the university, is there maybe a positive venture within the school that you have seen? And do you have any plans on maximizing on them? Maybe be it the work study program or anything that you see within the school is a good venture, and how are you seeking to maximize on this venture? We'll start with Team Wiledi.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, there are positive ventures in the institution that have been started, but may not have been utilized to the full potential according to the intentions at the point of the institution. A good example is the work study program. In general, the idea of a work study program is indeed beautiful. It is indeed mentally invigorating. It is indeed satisfying and delicious. But we feel that it has not been put into action to benefit the students. So as Team Wiledi, we are committed to strengthen the existing work study programs and to introduce more into this. For example, when you go to Mombasa campus has a facility, a canteen, that has been closed for years. We are not sure of why this facility has been closed, but maybe it's because of funds or anything, or just apathy. But now how about convert this canteen and integrate it into the work study program, so that if there is a student that can get the capital to pump and give life into this canteen, then we may have it now rotational in the students to help even our needy students. So I feel that our university had a good idea in the work study program, but we need to strengthen it, and we need to be creative enough on how we handle it.
So thank you so much, Team Wiledi. Team Fresh Perspective, what's your response on that?
He has talked about the existing systems like the work study program, which are systems that are already in place. And he has also mentioned that there are sources of revenue that have since been dead at the institution, or since been reduced in terms of being active at the institution. All this and everything that you're working on needs a foundation. For you to start up and rejuvenate a canteen, a cafeteria, requires resources. The association is struggling with resources. So maybe, I don't know how they are going to do it, but how can that be done in a year? That is one. But for me, I feel the best way to approach it is to first have the building blocks. And the building blocks is start from a point of where can UNSA get more in terms of partners, where can UNSA get more in terms of resources, such that these problems that are there, they are there and they are aching, and they will take time to solve. But we are the team that starts that process, that puts the building blocks, such that when we start, it's this and this, and this and this is done. These are the building blocks that have been laid. Whoever is coming in next has a foundation to start with. These are problems that can be fixed in a few years' time, but cannot be fixed in a year time currently.
So you have not yet answered my question. My question was, what positive ventures that has the school already implemented, and how do you wish to maximize on them?
He has touched on partnerships and innovation. And mine is to touch on the fact that the institution has invested a lot in research and innovation. There's a C4D lab in Chiromo. There's also the new upcoming Kantaria Innovation Hub in Upper Kabete campus. I believe tapping into the innovative sector we have a totipotent pool of students. Students who can sit down and think and create ideas that could maximize not only their creative capacity as a student, but as well as even benefiting them financially. I have seen students who've had startups and they're now fully funded or they're in phases of funding. How then can we make that and exemplify it and make it better? There's so many creative avenues for the university. There's people, even just in the creative economy. I am an artist. There are other creative people, performance artists, visual artists, and so many other talent pools. So innovation, they have started well as a university, but we can bolster it by improving and increasing the number of interest in not only just recognizing those innovations, but funding them, because that is where the problem and the challenge is at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team Lady and Team Fresh Perspective. We are heading to the close of this debate, and I just want each of us to give, maybe I'll give you a minute maximum each, to give your closing remarks and maybe something that at the end of your term, if elected, you'd want the student body and maybe the whole the school fraternity in general to remember you. I'll start on my far left with the lady from Team Lady. 1 minute, please. Your parting shot and something you'd want the school to remember you with once you're done with your dinner.
Thank you so much for hosting us today, first of all. What I would love to have accomplished by the end of our tenure, if not all, it's a short term, it's 1 year. We're not going to accomplish everything possibly, but at most, if we can accomplish more than 3/4, that would be something I would look back and applaud my whole team. Yeah.
So, your closing remarks and what's one thing you'd want to be remembered with?
Yes, thank you very much for hosting us today. We've had a fruitful discussion and have the students know how well or how evil we mean for them. So as Team Weledi and as the chairperson Team Weledi, I would love that going back, that when one day in 10 years' time, we think about the UNSA 2025-2026, then the students will appreciate that at least our tenure was student-centered, and indeed we fought for the interests of the students. And indeed that during our tenure, that is where the university had a turn towards enriching their students. And one thing that I would love to be remembered with is that as Otai Philip, chairperson, I would love to be remembered as that one president, that one chairperson that indeed empowered the professional bodies, that indeed recognized the professional bodies and had budgets allocated to the professional bodies, because that is where the pain is in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team Lady. Team Fresh Perspective, your closing remarks and one thing you would love to be remembered with if you're elected and at the end of your tenure. 1 minute, please.
I'd like to first start by thanking you for having all of us here. And it is not an I, it is more of a we. We want to be remembered. I do not want to be remembered. We want to be remembered. Straight from the faculty level leadership, we want to be remembered. We want to be remembered as those who stood and dared to do something different in UNSA. Those who brought about what would be looked at in 10 years as an independent form of UNSA. Look at Faculty of Arts. Imagine a Faculty of Arts in 10 years boasting of about 7 or 8 partners. What a joy it will be. So that a faculty has 8 partners. You can tap into whatever you want. You can tap into opportunities. You can tap into something. But we want to be remembered as the people who started a different culture in UNSA. The people who started to look at UNSA in a very different perspective, a fresh perspective. Thank you.
I am honored to stand here because I believe if I was in first year, I wouldn't have imagined I would stand in a podium with lights. And I stand to speak about not just me from Upper Kabete, but from those from Kenya Science, Chiromo, Mombasa, Kisumu, main campus, and the likes, KNH as well. Ours is to leave a legacy. No more temporary solutions. No more events that come and go. Something that lasts. Something that will come and people will come and see and say that this was there because of UNSA 2025-2026. No more temporary solutions like words on the sand. Let's leave something that will stand the test of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Team Lady. Thank you so much, Team Fresh Perspective. It's been an insightful debate we've had here today here at UNC TV. And from the two teams, with Team Lady promising an online platform that each and every student will be able to submit their petitions or maybe comments that they have towards the school in general, and Team Fresh Perspective promising a devolvement in the UNSA financial management. You as a student, the ball is in your court tomorrow. Vote for who you feel has addressed your issues as a student. And my name has been John Omahe. Thank you so much for tuning in for UNSA Presidential Debate 2025-2026. Remember, our social media platforms is UNC TV KE on Instagram, X, and also Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in. And that has been it for the 2025-2026 UNSA Presidential Debate.
The University of Nairobi, a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence, is the premier institution of higher education in Kenya and the region. We offer solutions to the pressing global challenges through multidisciplinary research.
I am passionate about animals. I like taking care of animals. So from the university, I am able to take care of animals more and more by the lessons that we have in school.
The university has 10 faculties, 11 research institutes, and 4 centers of excellence, and we offer diversified academic programs and specializations in natural sciences, applied sciences, technology, humanities, social sciences, and law.
Studying engineering at the University of Nairobi is a top-tier experience. This is due to the fact that we have the best lecturers in the industry, and we also get access to the practicing engineers, and these coupled with all the student activities that take part in the university, I think sets us apart as engineering professionals to be.
Our distinguished faculty members are experts in their respective fields, dedicated to both teaching and research. They engage students through dynamic and interactive learning experiences, encouraging them to explore, question, and discover new knowledge.
I think the University of Nairobi fits very well, perfectly to my future career goals. One, because